Hear that loud belt noise? We're here with Mr. Jacques' truck. It's a truck that's been worked on by several different shops before us, and he's been having some issues with it, and he wants us to take it through that final finish line. Well, once he got it here, we went through our multi-point inspection that we do with all incoming trucks that we pay for the transport on. And found lots of vibrations from 40 to 60 miles an hour.
We're at 40 miles an hour. It starts to set in. Really feel it right there at 50. This is a driveline vibration. This is not a suspension vibration. And then we get up to about 60 miles an hour and it smooths out.
This particular truck has been Duramax swapped, and it was with a 2.5 inch body lift, and it's a puck lift. You can see right here, so it's got a plastic puck right here spacing this up from here. When we do our 3-inch frame mount body lift, we change this piece entirely to make it all as a structure so we don't have pucks. Some say that might not be that big of an issue, but when you have bolts this of a long length like that, it puts extra loading on it and they can crack over time, and I've gotten hood cracks from it before I put our frame mount body lift on. The other thing is, we believe the Duramax swap needs a 3-inch body lift. This one currently is 2.5 here, but by the end of the hood it's at 3-inch, and there's a 1/2 inch spacer put right here in the bottom, and you can see that, and it gives this funky tilt to the hood. It gives it above. On H1s they have safety catches here built in to catch the hood, so if you're in a frontal wreck it doesn't go into the passenger compartment. But with this elevated like that, it makes a bigger issue. You can also see the hood scoop that was actually cut into the hood, and the hood scoop is to allow extra room for the air filter to turbo pipe. When we do our system on there, it doesn't have to do that at all. We don't cut any of the cross bracing out from underneath the hood. Some might say, oh, it's not a big issue having the cross bracing cut out of a fiberglass hood, yada, yada, yada. We feel very differently than that, because what's happened is the fiberglass is going to bend over time and it'll eventually crack because you basically made a very big stress riser. Also, you can notice on the passenger side the hood is taller than on the driver's side. So this is one of the type of swaps that we've seen. We've seen several of them, and we're kind of going through some of the issues that we're going to address when we re-swap it. So number one and foremost, the engine fan, the cooling fan, is not in the fan shroud. Fans should be within about half in a fan shroud. So you should have half the blade in the shroud, half the blade out of the shroud. Also, as you can see, the engine is way too high. The engine mounts are incorrect and they position the engine way too high. And you can also tell that by the fans. Also, the edge of the fan blade is not cut correctly. So we're going to take that off and put our fan on that's cut correctly with a better diameter and everything else, so that while they're off-roading, it doesn't eat into the fan shroud and eventually break and hurt the radiator. So this has been swapped a long time ago, and so there's some of the things that they've already fixed. But this typical swap, as you can see here, there's evidence, there's rivet holes, and there usually is a coolant tank sitting here. So they mount that to part of the fins of the intercooler, which is a large issue. This customer has already addressed that with this external coolant reservoir tank. We're going to remove this and replace it with a aluminum TIG welded remote reservoir over there on the other side by the air filter, how they usually come factory. Another thing is the general size of the intercooler is undersized in our opinion. It's a 2-inch intercooler. We run a 3-inch intercooler. Also, you can see over there, as coming out of that pipe, there is the grid heater. So the grid heater in a stock form in a stock Chevy truck is a great thing, but when people swap them, they become useless and just become a clog in the total system, so it hurts airflow. We're going to go through and we're going to change the entire cooling stack with a better radiator and intercooler, and we're going to put an oil cooler that does the power steering and the transmission, so we can get rid of the remote mounted transcooler, so everything's centralized up front. Also, this tube right here that goes from the air cleaner over into here, we're replacing that with a TIG welded steel version that'll flow a lot better into the turbo. The US military spent a lot of time developing that air cleaner and has a lot of surface area, and so we want it to pull out all the sand, debris, and soot. The way this is converted now, they have a filter that's not a factory filter in there, and so it's not filtering as good because they have all these other internal congestions, so it starves the engine and throws codes, etc.
Put another one up on the rack.